Okay, I had a letter from someone. They say, "Hello, John. Hope you're doing well. I've been having a bit of a tussle with insecurity recently, particularly in regard to relationships. I've recently developed a relationship with someone I find to be spectacular. This relationship has become an involved part of my life as of the last couple of months. She meets everything that I've been looking for in a partner. I'm very happy with the relationship, but there's a lot of unconsciousness that I've been working through because of being in relation with her. Most of it I've been able to work through on my own or through conversations with her. Now, this is rather a lot. I'm not sure how else to describe this, and I find it all a bit childish. But to be frank, the thing that bothers me the most right now is sex. It's uncomfortable to talk about, but has been causing me an aching anxiety from time to time. The thing being us both having previous sexual partners and experiences besides each other. I'm sickened by the idea, but also it is stimulating for some reason, in the same way that self-harm is. I believe a part of me likes the twisted nature of it. It's not world-ending by any means, it's just gross and feels like self-harm. This relationship is the best sexual experience I've ever had, and I believe that it is the same for her. It's blatantly apparent. I recall you mentioning that Barry Long talked about sex often, and I was wondering if you had any insight on how I can go about bringing this darkness into night. I think he might mean light. Essentially, how can I stop thinking about her past partners and fantasizing about it being better than the current present experiences we share together? I'd like to stop having these insecurities and thoughts that interfere with my sexual nature, leading me to this odd form of self-harm. All right. Nice small little question there. There's a lot in that. And it's all super understandable. So, just on the Barry Long front, yes, Barry Long did talk a lot about sex, none of which I found particularly helpful. In fact, I found it a bit destructive, his particular take on it. But he did call himself a tantric master. I certainly am not that, so who am I to say that he wasn't? But I found his perspectives on sex not to be great. And I found, I discovered all that the hard way. So, it's funny, like, because it's to do with sex and sexual partners and previous partners, it sort of feels like it's complicated, and it feels like it's it's really hard and to work through, and it's charged, and it makes you sick to your stomach, and it's like, oh my God, both exist. But really it comes down to the same kind of thing. It's just the kind of way our mind is. And I've said it before, our mind doesn't really care what you think about so long as you're thinking. So if it hits on to something that gets you to think a lot, it gets to feel like it exists a lot. Your mind is a very insecure kind of structure because it disappears every night, and that's disturbing. And it kind of knows that. So when you're awake and when you're using your mind, it likes to feel like it has an existence. So it likes you to think. And if it can find something that you like to think about a lot, or not like to think about it, but you do think about it a lot, that's good. So it will put these ping pong situations in place of, I'm in this new relationship. It's so lovely. It's so pure. I don't want to think that this person has been with anybody else. You know that they have, and you know that the fact that they have makes them appreciate you more. They've made the mistakes with other people. We know this, but we also don't want to acknowledge that. We don't even want to think about them being with somebody else because it just seems so disturbing to us. But then also, we have the polar opposite. You have this thing of I'm strangely stimulated by it, and I'm kind of going, maybe they were better than me. So there you got a nice little ping pong going, back and forth, back and forth. And it feels like it's an issue. Like, what am I going to do about, these insecurities I have about my partners, this new love in my life, the previous people they've been with? It's a thing that's tormenting me. And it's like, it's not really. It just feels like it is. But really, when you pull it apart, it's just the same old dynamic of back and forth, ping pong, of, I have a gut feeling about something. I should do it. Another part goes, no, it's not practical, it's not realistic, you shouldn't do it. And you go, bang, bang, bang. Your mind doesn't really care. And when you can kind of see that, it just wants you to keep thinking. Then you can kind of just pull back a little bit from it and go, oh, okay, this is just my mind. And it's not like I'm saying you have to get into a fight with your mind, or like, naughty mind, you shouldn't be getting me to think like that. That's kind of cruel, because it's just the nature of your mind to do this sort of thing. But if you kind of understand what's happening, you can pull back from it and go, yes, that's true. They did have previous partners. Yes, it's always a possibility that they were better than me. They had a better experience with me. That's always possible. You'd be surprised how quickly that deflates most things. It's like when your mind kind of goes, oh no, I'm going to get a flat tire as I'm driving along. If you're like going, no, I'm not, that's ridiculous, I'm going to think positive. So you got the ping pong going. Whereas if you go, yeah, anything's possible, I could get a flat tire. Or when your mind, catastrophizes something, if you go, yeah, it's possible. Because anything is possible. So because it's to do with sex and love, it feels like it's different. It feels like it's a big dynamic thing. And I have to get to the bottom of it, and I'm tormented. You are tormented, that's true. Just like we're all tormented by the things that our mind can get us to think about. But it's not like your mind is this malicious thing, or these terrible descriptions like the monkey mind. I mean, how friendly is that? It's not friendly at all. It's no compassion in that kind of way. And this idea that you can dominate your monkey mind, that doesn't work. Never works. Your mind, and particularly your unconscious, it'll always win. It's way more powerful. It's like 95% of what goes on is all unconscious. So your little conscious 5% kind of going, I am going to dominate. It's ridiculous. Much better to just rely on the mystery and love, which is kind of the same thing. And listen to your mind and go, yep, that's all very true. It's all very possible. And it is strangely kind of stimulating, isn't it, to think about other people being with this person that I love. It gives me this weird, shocking feeling of like, how could I possibly like that? To just let all that just go through and go, yeah, I think that is going on. Yeah, I can feel that. And you don't resist it. It's the resistance and the like, oh, I don't want to be thinking about that. It's really, you're unconscious. And like everybody's unconscious. It's a way of talking to it. And the only way that I found to be able to turn unconsciousness into consciousness is with love. So when you can love those parts of you and kind of go, yeah, I am a bit insecure, and maybe you talk about it with her, and talking is a surprisingly helpful thing to do because it ventilates all this unconscious stuff. So yeah, I would encourage you to talk about it to yourself, talk about it out loud. Don't keep it in the dark. Don't try and repress it. Don't deny it. Just be easy with it, and don't get distracted just because it's to do with love and sex, because there's enough goes on in love and sex anyway to keep you going. But this, what you described, it just sounds like pretty standard mind stuff of just giving you these little cattle prods of shock to go, oh my God, and you want to get into, no, I mustn't think that, I will think that, I won't think that, and so on. Really, it's not, I don't think it's as complicated as it feels. So, I hope that helps.